All right, so here we go. Okay, now I'm at fully at 10. Okay, just so everybody can see.
Wow.
So that string is like there's zero tension on that string.
Hello and welcome to Mothership Gear. I'm Spencer Alfonso. I'm here with Hans Ives, and we have the first Kramer on the show. This is the 1984 Floyd Rose Banana Headstock Kramer Pacer guitar. Hans, you brought this one over. When did you buy it?
I bought this guitar in 1984.
So it's all original so far? You haven't made any adjustments or tweaks to it?
No, one change is that the original... Well, I replaced the original humbucker pickup with another version of the original humbucker pickup because that one broke. It just stopped working.
Okay, so you replaced the original humbucker, which was
It's a Schaller.
Schaller humbucker that splits, correct, into two single coils. And where did you buy your replacement Schaller from?
You know what? I imagine I probably bought it from someplace like Sam Ash because I bought the guitar from Sam Ash.
Oh, cool.
So I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the time, and the guitar was too expensive at the local store because I was a very poor musician.
Yeah. And
I thought, well, I want this guitar, so I'm going to risk it. And I'm going to buy it from Sam Ash in New York and have him ship it, having never played it before.
Wow.
Which nowadays, that's like super common practice. It's like, whatever, that's just no big deal.
Right.
Back then, it was like, you're risking your entire life. You're risking your grandchildren.
And why don't you go ahead and play us what that humbucker sounds like?
Okay, so this is that's the humbucker position. And this is with the volume is at about 6 or 7, something like that, because the way this particular patch is set up on the stomp is for you don't really need a pedal in front of it. So that's the humbucker. Here's single coil. Humbucker. Difference.
Right. And so is that little silver kind of looking?
Yep, it's that knob right there. Super ergonomic too, by the way. The placement of all this stuff is very, very ergonomic. And here it is in parallel, which, by the way, I don't know what that means. So parallel versus humbucker. Parallel again. It's thinner. And then here's the single coil. You know, obviously the humbucker has got more, like this broader frequency, certainly more low end.
And then maybe run us through the other two single coils that you have on there. Those are just Kramer originals?
As far as I know, I don't know that there's any particular brand. I mean, there probably is.
Right.
I don't know. So this is a 5-way switch, so much like any Strat. So here's the middle position. By the way, if the guitar cracks, that's not going to be a surprise to anybody because it's 40 years old and has been sitting up on my wall for, I haven't played this guitar in probably 2 years. And when I picked it up yesterday, picked it up off the wall and played it, it was still in tune.
Nice.
I don't know if that's weird. Well, that's weird, I think. So here's the middle position. which sounds cool. I mean,
a little stratty right there.
So that's like the John Mayer thing is in that pickup. And here's the bridge. I mean, it sounds great. Then the blends. So here's the fourth position.
Quackier.
That's so cool. Yeah, and here's the one that's the second position. So that's the humbucker and the middle pickup. Okay, now so that's
More
the humbucker.
twangy.
That's the humbucker in the humbucker position. Now here's in the single coil. Here's parallel. That sounds so cool. That sounds super usable. And what I meant by ergonomic, it's like, so we've done a video, a Mothership Gear episode of my SG.
Okay,
So the SG, and we've also done one of my Les Paul recording.
Right.
First electric guitar bot was the Les Paul recording. That was then replaced as my main axe by the SG. Then the SG was replaced by this. And I played this guitar almost exclusively for probably, 8 years.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Because it's very, very, very flexible.
Right.
And when I moved from Albuquerque to Southern California, I was playing a lot of like supper show gigs, and I put an ad in Music Connection, which I don't even think that exists anymore. There's a throwback, and would say, I'm available for anything basically. And I actually got calls for that and made some money. But so anyway, this guitar was very flexible and work in any situation. So I loved it for that.
That's great. And yeah, so this is the rosewood and maple with alder body. Just talk about how it feels and then how that translates into the sound.
Well, one of the really important things about this guitar is the neck itself. Okay, so the genesis of this, as you and I were talking about before we started taping, was that Kramer was known specifically for making non-wood guitars. So whatever the materials were, they were not wood. Mostly metal, they were weird. If you want to do like a deep dive in Kramer 1970s guitars, you're going to see some very weird shapes, and they look weird, and they were mostly played by probably like showy metal band kind of stuff, which I get it. They fit that mold really great, and they were great rock guitars. But then they wanted to venture into making natural wood guitars, and so they made the Pacer series, and they also had a thing called the Carrera, and hair metal bands were into the Carrera thing because it was just one humbucker and no other pickups. But and that was actually a neck through guitar. So this is bolt on. And the first guitars that they built they looked just like, with the exception of the Floyd Rose, they looked like a Fender Strat.
Okay.
Thin neck, either this kind of neck or a maple, and but so secretly they were in talks of building a guitar for Eddie Van Halen. So he's the guy who really made this guitar famous. I didn't buy the guitar because I wanted to be like Eddie Van Halen. I wanted a guitar that did what this one did. And when I got the first guitar, I ordered from Sam Ash, and I wanted a red one. Well, don't ask me why, but that's what I wanted. I wasn't having a midlife crisis because I was in my early 20s. But I wanted a red guitar, and when it showed up, it was not this banana headstock guitar, and it was a Sunburst. And it was like, so I totally didn't want that. So I called them up and said, "You sent me the wrong guitar." They said, "Okay, we'll send it back," which I did. And then I said, "I want a red guitar." "Well, we don't have a red one." "What color do you have?" "Black." "Okay, send that." So they sent me this guitar. Anyway, so that's probably more information than any of our listeners wanted to know, but there you go. So then when this came, one of the things about it is that this neck, the whole thing that Eddie Van Halen had them do for him to his specs was this neck is wider than any guitar I've ever played. It's maybe even wider than most of the acoustic guitars I play.
Wow.
So that's lots of room to be doing. There's lots of room for fingering, but it also makes it harder. But once you get used to it, it's fine. But that's a very interesting thing about the guitar, which because of that extra space, I mean, I think it translates into bigger tone. You know, more mass equals more tone, I would think. Certainly more mass would lead to more energy. So that's the first thing. And then the other thing about the guitar is that it has what was a groundbreaking technology, which was locking tremolo. So there were many iterations of that. I think Schaller actually made one. I don't know who else made them. Fender has their own versions of locking, but these actually have locking. Like you get the guitar into, you take these things off, you get the guitar in tune, and then with an Allen wrench, you lock these things down, and then the strings it's not going anywhere. And the reason for that is because you want to be able to do I won't do it now. I'm going to do it right at the very end of the podcast because these strings are old and I don't know how the guitar is going to react.
Right.
But you literally can go down to no tension on the strings at all. Like they're just flopping around, come back up, and it's perfectly in tune.
That's insane.
It's really amazing. So that's pretty cool technology. And for a 24-year-old rocker, that was pretty alluring. And it got me to send money to Sam Ash and buy the guitar, which I did. So I think those are the main selling points of this guitar. They are the thing that make it different than others. First of all, it's got an unusual looking headstock, which is pretty 80s metal looking, no doubt. If I was to pull this out now, it'd probably be like OK Boomer a little bit, maybe. But maybe in 10 years or 5 years, that'll be cool. Or maybe it's cool now. I don't know. I'm not a very good purveyor of cool. But so it has this neck, has the Floyd Rose, great. The tuning heads are great. On the back of the guitar, just for you've got your Allen wrenches.
Whoa, that's awesome.
So the Allen wrenches for this, and then also for down here, because in order to put the strings on, you'd have to buy a set of strings because when they first made them, they make them now. Sets for these kinds of tremolos or bridges, but you'd have to buy the strings, clip the end off, and then stick the thing in here, and then you lock it down. So it's locked down on both sides. Wow. Now, one of the cool things, here's a little tidbit. One of the cool things about that for me was I was playing in clubs at the time, and I was playing, 5 hours a night, and in hot, sweaty circumstances, and surroundings. And the sweat from my hand is pretty acidic. If you were to zoom in on the bridge, you could see that it's experienced that. But what would happen is my strings would always break right at the nut. Well, I was poor, so I couldn't change strings every night. I'm playing 5 hours, so 5 hours on a set of strings, you're already risking it. So every day after I played that night, before playing the next night, I would turn the strings all the way down, tune them all the way down, clip the end off just enough down here to put in a new section. So now it's new material hitting that bridge. Wow. I mean, come on. That's dedication right there. Well, this is what you do when you have no dough. Yeah. You got to know the guitar really, really well. Yeah, I did. And I played this, I toured with this guitar a lot. That's awesome. Well, thank you for bringing over the 1984 Floyd Rose Banana Headstock Kramer Pacer guitar. All right, so here we go. Okay, now I'm at fully at 10. Okay, just so everybody can see. Wow. So that string is there's zero tension on that string. It stayed in tune. That's amazing. Very impressive. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, if you guys like this episode, there's lots more where this one came from on Mothership Gear.
like Hans mentioned, we have some Les Pauls, some SGs that we've talked about from his collection, and we will see you guys all next time. Later.